Look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world.
This is the Wrestling Matters podcast where we stand up for professional wrestling.
Here we fucking go!
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! Yes! 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 Yes!
That's 13-14!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 122 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. My name is Anthony Walker for the Wrestling Matters channel, the Swerve Network, and SoundCloud.com, along with Spreaker.com. Apologies for not uploading on that site recently. I haven't had time at the moment, guys. I've been very busy and all that, so this episode will definitely go on that site this week. So you'll get episode 122 this coming week. So be sure to look out for that. Apologies for not uploading last week's on there. Like I say, I've been very busy. But on today's show, ladies and gentlemen, we will talk Raw, a very good Raw in fact, Smackdown, NXT, TNA, Ring of Honor, and I say reluctantly on TNA, Ring of Honor, and the 10 worst world champions in WWE history according to WhatCulture.com. Also, a few things here and there as well. So, hope you guys are well. This podcast, episode 122, is up on the Swerve Network each and every weekend. Hope you guys enjoy the content that is on there with Max Wrestling, featuring Daz and Craig Phoenix and co., including Evan McCabe as well. Also, check out Offshoot Radio with James Belmont and co. Also, Evan McCabe, if he still does his podcast. I'm not quite sure on that. But also, you can check out my mentor, the one and only Kenny Killer and Chugs with Sunday Segway. Also, check out Sunday Segway TV as well by Kenny. Another good thing he's doing at the moment. Now, all of that is on the Swerve Network. Be sure to check that out every weekend. Now, thank you to Mystery Island and Mystery Island as well, guys. Facebook.com/Back to the Island. August 4th is Abyss, the monster on the island. Get yourself over there. Show your support to Mystery Island. Also, very, very soon, Mystery Island team will be coming on the show. Peter Blackham, and I'm going to get David Anderson on the show as well. A guy who's been very much a very good supporter of the Wrestling Matters podcast, and a guy who's been helping me out a great deal as well, which I very much appreciate. Hopefully, coming soon to the Wrestling Matters podcast, they will be on the show. How we're going to do this, we'll find something. We'll find a way to get them on. We'll find something, I suppose, but they'll be on the show very, very soon. Also, be sure to check out Will Ospreay as well, because I believe Will Ospreay is coming to Mystery Island as well very, very soon as well. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's August as well. But I know Monster on the Island, August 4th. Get yourself over there if you're in the area. 56 to 58 Oxton Road, Birkenhead in Liverpool or Merseyside or whatever that place is called. But get yourself over there. It is a very good place. And if I ever get to Birkenhead or Liverpool, that would be the first place I go to. Guarantee on that one, and I will be going there. That is in my future. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to everybody who's checked out all my other podcasts that I do, WCPW as well as the CWC as well. Check out the CWC podcast, only exclusive to youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters, and you can download all the podcasts as well as them podcasts for free on SoundCloud.com/Wrestling_Matters_podcast. I don't know if that's how long that free thing's gonna last, but hey, it seems to be working with the peeps. I'm going with it. Also, I want to thank you, everybody who has supported the WCPW podcasts. I have done 4 episodes of Loaded, which have got good numbers for what they were anyway. But I did Built to Destroy this past week. They had the first big show, and I put it up. It's up on SoundCloud now. You can download it now on SoundCloud, Facebook, SoundCloud.com/ wrestling_matters_podcast, like I say, but it was up on YouTube this week as well, and I put it up right after the show, after I recorded it, edited it, boom, 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 straight up on the show. And within a space of a week, a space of a couple of days, it got it went up on Tuesday morning, early hours of Tuesday morning, on the Monday, right after the show. Fast forward to Thursday, to where I was, it got 900 views. So I'm guessing by now, surely, it has hit at least 1,000 views, maybe more. So, guys, thank you so much for that. It is greatly appreciated as well. And if you want to subscribe for more exclusive podcasts that I do only for that channel, that's why you need to subscribe to the Wrestling Matters channel as well. Wrestling Matters is youtube.com/wrestling_matters_podcast. That's my SoundCloud. I'm getting them all mixed up now. youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. Get yourself over there and subscribe, and you can keep up to date with all the podcasts, not just this one as well. Now, guys, I've got a few things that I want to talk about first. That was a long intro of promotions, I know, but it had to be done. It's what I do on this show. I've got to get people over and put people out there and let you guys know where you can see all this good stuff. Now, I watched Smackdown this past week, and I watched Raw this past week. I will get into more depth about them in the next part. I actually enjoyed them both. But the only thing that is pissing me off about Raw is its length. Like I say, I'll get to them this past week. I'll get to them in part 2. That'll be up next. But what I want to talk about is the people who are coming back. Because there's a lot of rumours, not just from Wrestle Talk TV and YouTube channel and stuff like that as well. There's a lot of names that are in the pipelines of coming back. One guy came back in particular this past week on Smackdown, even though he's been doing a lot of NXT lately, and we all know who he is. It was Rhyno. And he gored Heath Slater in half. Now, there's a lot of names that have come down. Apparently, from what I got on, I'm guessing they did this in America on the USA Network, because I never saw it when I was watching it on Sky Sports over here in the UK. But it seems that Shelton Benjamin is returning. It says coming soon. There was an ad, a vignette even, promoting Shelton Benjamin's big return. That is big, let me tell you. But it's not just Shelton Benjamin that has been linked to come back. 2 members are coming back. Now. 2 old guys. Rhyno and Shelton Benjamin have returned. There's also talks about Tommy Dreamer coming back. There's also talks about Kurt Hawkins coming back. Zack Ryder's old tag team partner. Also, despite the fact that Shelton Benjamin, and I believe Teddy Long said this on a podcast that Shelton Benjamin was coming back, he also mentioned that MVP was returning. So MVP could be coming back, even though he's been denying it, but there's talks about him coming back as well. Apparently, all these names that have been signed or been in negotiations with WWE about returning. Also, Melina is returning, it seems. There's talks about Melina coming back. John Morrison's, or Johnny Mundo's wife, I suppose, for those of you that watch Lucha Underground as well. And there's also talks about Kurt Angle. This is the ultimate one. There's also talks about Kurt Angle coming back. But credit where credit is due, because Kurt Angle's going to fight. He's going to wrestle either Damo or Joe Coffey in November of Fear and Loathing, but October 6th he's coming to Newcastle for WCPW. So whether that's coming back, whether that's true or not, I don't know. If Kurt Angle is coming back, it might be, say, late November, early December time. It might not be at all. I don't know. They might have to hold on that one, because like I say, he's got himself some dates. So we'll have to wait and see in that respect. But those names are huge to come back. And I like the fact that Shelton Benjamin's coming back. This guy should have got at least been competing for a world title. And if he goes to SmackDown, which it seems he's doing that, because it said coming soon to SmackDown, it seems Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan think highly of him, and he may get them opportunities that he's deserved as well, because that's what it's all about, you know. That's what SmackDown's all about, and that's what Raw seems to be all about. And what a fucking birthday I've got coming up, I tell you. You know, what a birthday I've got coming up, I tell you, man. Gee, you little leapies. I tell you, 3 big pay-per-view style dream matches for me. I would imagine now AJ Styles will go one-on-one with Cena at SummerSlam. That'll be a done deal. One more match between them two at SummerSlam. Two matches that I like. Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, which is now an interpromotional match, since Lesnar's on Raw, Orton's on SmackDown. Also, Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. I almost said Roman Reigns there, but Seth Rollins and Finn Balor one-on-one at SummerSlam for what is now known as the WWE Universal Championship. What is that? What the fuck is that? Seriously. I'll get to that in part 2. Also, Dean Ambrose will defend the WWE Championship as of last week against Dolph Ziggler, which I like very much because it seems Dolph Ziggler's finally getting what he deserves. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are listening to this podcast that are probably not big Dolph Ziggler fans, but this guy is talented. He's come a long way since the days of the Spirit Squad. He is what he is. Now, he's getting what he deserves. Thank God for SmackDown. And like I said, I'll get to it in more depth, but in my opinion, I think SmackDown's winning so far. I think SmackDown is very much winning the fight. I know they've got a lot of work to do. I'll get to the one thing I hate about Raw. There's one thing I hate about this past week's Raw, and I'll get to that in part 2. But I like what I'm seeing so far in WWE. But with that being said, I'll be back in part 2. I'm going to take a quick time out. I'll be back in part 2, guys, with the Raw and SmackDown view. And I will give you the one thing that I did not like about Raw this past week as well. So all of that will come in part 2. So stay tuned. We've got an action-packed show today, and I'm going to prove that I am a 60-minute man when it comes to podcasts. I'll be back after this. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/WM podcast and like the page and show your support to the podcast that stands up for professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back to the Wrestling Matters podcast, part 2, ladies and gents. Are we ready? I guess we are. It's time for Monday Night Raw. That's right, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. We'll kick off with Raw first. Now, we're going to go through the points here, and there was one bad thing about Raw. In my opinion. I'll get to that in a second. The quick hits were Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley announced the creation, after insulting Roman Reigns, well, mainly Stephanie, the creation of the WWE Universal Championship. I'll get to that in a second. What happened in that segment fed into the first of 2 fatal 4-ways involving Finn Balor, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and US Champion Rusev, which saw Finn Balor advance to Raw's main event. Nia Jax defeats Britt Baker. Roman Reigns defeats Sami Zayn, Chris Jericho, and Sheamus to advance in the second fatal 4-way to advance to the main event to face Finn Balor. Neville beats Curtis Axel. New Day get their celebration ruined that they were having by Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, rather. Sasha is the new women's champion by beating Charlotte in what was an epic match. James Ellsworth walked into a buzzsaw known as Braun Strowman. More on that in a second. Enzo Amore Big Cass defeat the Shining Stars, and Finn Balor defeats Roman Reigns to advance to SummerSlam to face Seth Rollins for the WWE Universal Championship. Now, am I the only one that was expecting something else besides the Universal Championship this week on Raw? Everybody was thinking, they were going to bring the gold belt back. They announced the Universal Championship, WWE Universal Championship. Just like I said on Twitter, just like I said to many people, where the heck was that gold belt? The World Heavyweight Championship. That's what I was expecting. I don't know what to make of this Universal title. I guess we'll find out what it is at SummerSlam. I just hope it's nothing like the Divas title or anything in that league. I guess the reason why, thinking about it the way I've done to this point, the reason why they didn't bring back the big gold belt, the World Heavyweight Championship belt, is because they still call the WWE title the WWE World Championship. And basically, the WWE Championship and the World title joined together to combine that title itself. So that's my only suggestion on that. A couple of good points about Raw. Okay? A couple of good points. Nia Jax, Britt Baker. Time will tell about Nia Jax being on Raw at the moment. She's getting the treatment as Braun Strowman is in terms of being on Raw and getting matches from local people, from local wrestlers, just like they used to do on the Superstar show back in the day. So time will tell on Nia Jax's development on Raw. But she's getting a push. As for Mr. Braun Strowman, though, considering now he is no longer in the Wyatt family, the Wyatt family, basically both members are on Smackdown. Luke Harper will probably return at some point, and he'll probably join them on Smackdown too. I like what they are doing with Braun Strowman. I love this. Love it. Because, as we all know, he first came into the Wyatt family, and he was just brought in unaware. He had a few stints in NXT, here and there, but you know, they brought him in and they shut him in the Wyatt family with no development or anything like that. I like the way they are doing this with Braun Strowman, because this is what he needs. He needs development. He needs enhancement. He might need a couple of longer matches with these guys that they're going to put him in the ring with, but he needs development. And this is perfect for him. It's up to him whether he takes the ball and runs with it. That's up to him, Braun Strowman himself, and I'm sure of that as well, because back in the day, this is what it was all about at the end of the day, and even Triple H said this on his DVD at one point. He said this on his, he said that, you know, it's your responsibility, i.e. that person, because Triple H was in the same position before, but Braun Strowman's responsibility to make, you know, a name for himself in this respect. Whether he does it or not remains to be seen. But this is what he needs. This is what he, you know, has to have. Development. This is the key on this. Development. Development, his character, his wrestling, if you can call it wrestling, in his performance, everything. This is what he should have got in the first place before they decided to bring him into the Wyatt family. Okay? Because he stunk the joint out on many occasions. He's got to have this development, and I hope this works for him, because should this work for him, he could be the big monster heel on his own. He could be a huge, unstoppable monster heel on his own. But like I say, he needs to, you know, take the ball and take the responsibility for himself. Well, it seems SummerSlam came early, ladies and gentlemen. And I say why in SummerSlam coming early, because the match that was supposedly scheduled for SummerSlam came on Raw. And Sasha Banks is now the new women's champion. Two of the top wrestlers, female wrestlers in the company, went at it for the women's title and put on one hell of a match. And as I've done this podcast right now, as I'm saying this right now, the rematch has already been signed for SummerSlam. So I guess we're going to see the match at SummerSlam eventually, except the probably original plan was Charlotte to go in as champion and have Sasha win the title. Doesn't seem that way, which is fair enough, because Charlotte, great champion that she was, is no longer the women's champion, and there's a new boss in the women's division. What they're going to do with the women's division, I don't know, because like I say, they've got the women's title, which is exclusive to Raw. A majority portion of the women's division is on Raw. Half of them are on Smackdown. They need to sort that out quick. Okay? Because it's no point of having a women's division if half's on Raw and half's on Smackdown and the friggin' women's title's on Raw. Just doesn't work like that. Okay? That's why both Raw and SmackDown should have the women's title. Okay? Keep Charlotte on Raw. She's the women, keep Charlotte on Raw, keep Sasha on Raw, yada, 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 but have the women's champion, i.e. now Sasha Banks, compete on both shows. Don't bring another women's championship into the fray. Okay, not that you're bringing the NXT title up. That's a different matter. That belt should be defended on both shows, in my opinion. And for the main event as well, I am going to have a bloody good friggin' birthday this coming August 21st, because Friday, August 19th is my birthday. 20th is whatever. 21st is SummerSlam. And I have got 3 matches. One I'll get to later on during the Smackdown review, coming up in a second. The other one I'll get to now. There's Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton, which is an interpromotional match anyway, because Brock's on Raw, Randy's on SmackDown, and Brock's coming back to Raw this week, so I would imagine you'd be hearing something about that. Also, a dream match is going to take place. That's right. Seth Rollins will go one-on-one with Finn Balor for the Universal Championship. There's a lot of potential matches, as we know right now, that might steal the show. Despite the fact that SmackDown's got the main event for the WWE title, plus Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton, this main event might steal the damn show. All of it. Rollins, Finn Balor. Who's going to win? I believe, and I'll say this in a future prediction show which is coming up very soon as well, but I'll go to it in more depth. I think Finn should win it. Okay, that's who I think should win it. It seems also they're giving up on Roman Reigns as well. Well, Vince has anyway. He's finally seen it. What Roman needs is a heel turn. They need to pull the trigger, boom, 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 and say, you're a heel. Just do it. Just get it in, get it over with. Because I think they might like him again. That's the only way. He could be a monster heel. If done right, of course. That's Raw for you guys. But the only downside to Raw for me, and like I say, not that it was a bad thing, because Raw for 3 hours was actually good this week. You know, wasn't force-fed down our throats. It was beautifully done, beautifully spread out. 3 hours of Raw is the problem. Because you've got 3 hours of Raw and 2 hours of SmackDown. I've said this to many people, and I'll say this to you guys right now. In my opinion, Raw, SmackDown should be equal. 2 hours, 2 hours. Okay? I feel sorry for Mick Foley and Stephanie in particular, that they have to work their backsides off to give you 3 hours of programming every Monday. Once the CWC is over, the Cruiserweight division will be back. That will be good for Neville. Give him something to do and something to go for as well. That's already been done as the exclusive property of Raw, the Cruiserweight division, so that will be good. That will be more than good, actually. I'll be looking forward to seeing that again. Because the last time they had the Cruiserweight belt, the last Cruiserweight champion was Hornswoggle. Need I say more? I don't think Finn will fit into the Cruiserweight division, considering the direction he's going and considering the fact that he's headlining SummerSlam for the number one prize, or what's going to be the number one prize on Raw, the Universal Championship. That's what's downfall for me. It needs to be 2 hours. Time will tell if things will spread out and they can keep this pace up that they've set, or keep this standard that they've set. Will I think they do it? I don't know. I think it's too much too soon, but we shall see. And also as well, I was thinking, old lovable Mick Foley, who's not going to be around that much anyway, because like I say, he's coming to Scotland in November to be the commissioner of Fear and Loathing again. Is it me, or am I the only one that thinks that this Mick Foley and Stephanie McMahon partnership is out of place? Because you've got the heel badass witch Stephanie McMahon, and you got lovable, joyful Mick Foley. I mean, What Culture already did something on their website about making a storyline out of this and whatnot, involving that. Check their websites out for that. But I just see another authority again on Raw. Stephanie, it felt like that. Stephanie playing the part of Stephanie and playing the part of Triple H is Mick Foley. That's what I think of it. Something needs to change on that. I mean, at the end of the day, you'd be best off bringing back Triple H to run it and be the GM and have his wife be the commissioner. You'd be best off doing that. But this is, in my opinion, out of place for me. All in all, a very good Monday Night Raw. Very good indeed. And very good for 3 hours, like I say. It's the first time I've said that in a while. Will the standard be kept up? Will the pace be able to keep up for the show? Who knows? We shall see. Now, for Smackdown, which I actually saw this week. And Smackdown also was very good, despite what people think about it with, this. Because like I said to somebody when I went to work on Saturday to do that training session, back in the day, 1999-ish at the most, SmackDown, Raw was high. Raw was on top of the world, and SmackDown was up there with it. Lately, it's been Raw up there on its own, and SmackDown way down the bottom. After what I saw this past Tuesday, it seems SmackDown is getting back on that right track again, which is good. Not just for the company, good for the brand, because up until this point, SmackDown was also being Raw's part 2. Quite frankly, you got 3 hours of Raw on Monday night, and then you can go to extra 2 hours on Raw of SmackDown, which is being dubbed as Raw Part 2. SmackDown kicked off this week. It was very good, with Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan announcing a huge match while addressing the SmackDown locker room. The huge match was a 6-pack challenge match, which involved Baron Corbin, John Cena, Dolph Ziggler, AJ Styles, Bray Wyatt, and a last pick of the first match of the evening, which was the Battle Royal, which Apollo Crews won. Becky Lynch got a small measure of revenge against Natalya. Natalya beat her at Battleground. Becky got revenge by making a tap. And then this whole women's division making a statement thing. First Alexa Bliss comes out, and then Naomi comes out. Then Carmella, I believe, came out. And then Eva Marie came out to a course of boos. Not gonna lie, she looked hot. But apparently she has her own voiceover. Whose butt did she kiss to get that? Let me tell you. Oh, God. She's... I don't know what the hell they've got in store for her on SmackDown, but to be honest with you, I'm actually dreading it. Randy Orton came on and interrupted Miz TV, and Randy and Miz went back and forth, which all led to a match between Randy and the Miz, which Randy ended up winning with 2 RKOs, the first one being from out of nowhere, and the second one being just because he could. Return to SmackDown Live, like I said earlier on, guys, of Rhyno goring the hell out of Heath Slater. And the 6-pack challenge to determine the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship saw Dolph Ziggler go one-on-one, win the match after super kicking the Jesus right out of AJ Styles. And he will go on to SummerSlam to face Dean Ambrose for the WWE Championship, which is a match I very much like. Don't get me wrong, people have their own saying about, Raw, Dolph Ziggler and that, and I'll mention Dolph Ziggler later on in the countdown main event on this show later on, because apparently he was number 9 in the top 10 WWE's worst world champions in their history. The thing is with Dolph, he has never had a break. This guy has come an awful long way since going back in the days when he was a member of the Spirit Squad. He has won Intercontinental Championships. He hasn't had a very good run with the World Championship belt, because the last time he had the world title, if I remember correctly, he had a concussion. I'll mention more about that later. I think, could he win this? Yeah. From what it seems, they're building it up. But like I say, I would like to see Dean Ambrose's title reign continue on a little bit longer. But it's good to see SmackDown giving opportunities to people like Dolph Ziggler, who in my opinion deserves it. What will happen, we'll have to wait and see at SummerSlam. But all I know is SummerSlam this year is building to be a hell of a pay-per-view, and I don't know about you, but I'm loving every minute of it at the moment, and the more better matches, the better. No doubt we'll probably see one more match between John Cena and AJ Styles as well. So What will happen, ladies and gentlemen, is what will happen. But kudos to Raw and SmackDown this week. They were both very good. Despite the few things and the few opinions that I've thrown out, loved it both. Right, I'll be back right after this quick timeout, guys, with NXT, Ring of Honor, TNA, and a bit of news here and there. And a little talk about ICW as well, plus the top 10 worst world champions in WWE history, according to Wall Culture. So, stay tuned.
There's only one wrestling podcast that gives you honest, uncut opinions and the most unique trivia since WWE did The Weakest Link. And the only place you can hear the show-stealing podcast promo every single week.
Covering WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground. Max Wrestling Podcast is the place for you. Join myself, Evan Money Michaela, The Phoenix, and The Butcher, Sundays at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time with your host, Daddy Dangerously, on VOC Nation and the Swerve Talk Network.
Go to maxwrestling.wix.com/maxwrestling or follow us at maxwrestling UK for more details.
Give in to the madness.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shubs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Now, we'll go to Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor and NXT will be in this segment right here. Hope you guys enjoyed part 2 with SmackDown and Raw. Get to them. Just my honest opinions about that as well. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Now it's time for Ring of Honor and NXT, but we'll start with NXT. The matches were Shinsuke Nakamura defeats Wesley Blake. Billy Kay defeats Santana Jarrett, I believe that is. TM61 defeats Rob Kimball and Adrian Nails. No Way Jose defeats Steve Colton. There's obviously beef between him and Austin Aries. Kota Ibushi, the guy who's been tearing it up on CWC, defeats Buddy Murphy, and Bayley asks for a rematch against NXT Women's Champion Asuka, which I'm guessing will be at Brooklyn, and Joe reluctantly had no choice but to accept a match between Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura, an NXT TakeOver, which I'm guessing is the Brooklyn one. So that basically covers Ring of Honor in that not Ring of Honor, NXT in that respect. I say Ring of Honor because I'm about to go and talk to that next. Hey, beautiful weekend for me in terms of professional wrestling and in terms of matches, because I love the match that I've got. There's 3 matches, like I say: Rollins, Balor, Lesnar, Orton, and now Nakamura and Joe. Just beautiful, isn't it? Right, I want to go into Ring of Honor because I want to talk about it in more depth. There were 2 matches that took place that were standing matches, quite frankly, as well. There were a lot of standing matches as well. The Cabinet won a 6-man tag, but I want to talk about the story of Ring of Honor. The main story of Ring of Honor. Because the main story of Ring of Honor was the whole World Championship thing. Now, the World Championship match was scheduled to be for the full hour. They had stand-by matches and yada yada yada. Unfortunately, we had to use them. But it was all meant to be about the Ring of Honor World title, this week's episode. It was, until Bullet Club ruined it. And I'm talking about Young Bucks and Adam Cole. Because as this whole thing with Adam Cole, that he's obsessed about not making Kyle O'Reilly the world champion, or not letting Kyle O'Reilly be the world champion. He says as long as he's in Ring of Honor, Kyle O'Reilly will not be Ring of Honor world champion. Well, he made that crystal clear, because the triple team by Bullet Club, Young Bucks, Adam Cole, they use a steel chair on his arm, the tendon of the arm, nearly breaking it. and all, and then he's backstage getting medical attention and demands the match that he wanted with Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor World Championship. And gets it. But it wasn't for the full hour like it was scheduled to be. It was for a good at least 10 minutes, whatever. Jay Lethal was not happy with it. Jay Lethal was not happy with it whatsoever, because obviously he wanted a competitive match with him at 100%. So he knows that the shit's going down with him and Kyle O'Reilly and that. Then, after that, Jay Lethal retained the title. He hit Lethal Injection and, did his thing. Did what he had to do, even though he was reluctant in doing it, but did what he had to do. The Bullet Club returned. Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. And they looked to do a number on Kyle O'Reilly. Bobby Fish, who saved him the first time around, who came out the first time around, came back out again. And, they did their thing. Boom, boom, boom. And then the chair shots and then the tombstone from the top rope, the jumping tombstone thing. He did it from the top rope, spiked tombstone. Kyle O'Reilly's hurt in the ring. Now for the big story, because the big story was the fact that Nigel McGuinness had enough. Okay? Nigel McGuinness had enough and came out and said, as long as you're in Ring of Honor, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly will never be world champion. Well, Nigel McGuinness had something of his own. As long as he's Ring of Honor matchmaker, which he is, Adam Cole will never ever get another shot at the Ring of Honor World Championship. So, have they gone too far, the Bullet Club? I guess so, because it's obviously cost Adam Cole a chance at ever getting back the Ring of Honor World Championship. And quite frankly, I love it, to be honest. It goes down, it's going down. What's going to go take place? What's going to go down? What's going to take place? How's this going to pan out? We have to wait and see. But as we know it right now, the story of this week is Adam Cole will never ever get a Ring of Honor World Championship as long as Nigel McGuinness is Ring of Honor matchmaker. See what happens next week on Ring of Honor. Thank you for this part, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Brief little talk on NXT and Ring of Honor. I'll be back in the next part with more on the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Stay tuned. If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters Podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to part 4 of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Now, I am going to do this as TNA and ICW. Right. TNA's results. Mike Bennett beat Drew Galloway in the finals, to advance to the finals of the Bound for Glory Series playoffs. Decay defeats Bromains in a Monsters Ball to retain the tag titles. A Storm is leaving Drake. This thingy in out here. Something's building between Eli Drake and James Storm. Bobby Lashley retains the X Division title against DJZ. There's beef between Bobby Lashley and Moose, I would imagine. After Moose defeats David Starr, that is. Building in with Decay and everything, and Bram. Gail Kim defeats Madison Rayne. And Matthew Hardy gets beat by a certain Mr. EC3, and EC3 will meet Mike Bennett in the finals of the Bound for Glory playoffs as well. So that's pretty much all of that on TNA. As for ICW, there's a couple of things that I want to promote that are on the network. There's a tag team road. There's a little segment on there, a video on there called Road to Shug's House Party 3 that has a tag team match, a semi-final of the tag team title tournament involving Local Fire, Davey Boy, and Joe Hendry against Filthy Generation, or Filth Generation, whatever they're called, Kaylee Ray and Stevie Boy. And the winner obviously goes to the finals of the tournament, which took place yesterday at Shug's House Party as well. So be sure to check that out as well. There's a few other things on there, mainly to do with Shug's House Party. I would imagine Friday Night Fight Club will be back soon, because there's a few dates that, a few tapings announced for say mid-August, somewhere around about there. So I would imagine that'll be back very, very soon. So look out for that. And yeah, also guys, look out for a possible Wrestling Matters podcast special. That's right. I am planning to watch Shug's House Party 3 and review it. and you might get a podcast on that at some point. I don't know yet. I want to review it. I don't know if I'll be able to review it on this show, but be sure to look out for that. ICW Shug's Hoose Party 3 review or promotion, something. Hopefully I can be able to do that. It's just finding the time. I do plan on watching Shug's very, very soon. I would imagine it's out today as I'm doing this at some point. I don't know what time it'll be out, but I would imagine it'll be either out today, preferably about 9 o'clock UK time, somewhere around about that as well. They usually do the show on the Sunday and then release it the next day. A little bit later than normal. It'll be about, I don't know, 9 o'clock time, somewhere around about that. So they usually do that. Obviously, many of you people may have seen it if you bought the iPay-per-view. If you bought it on iPay-per-view as well, many of you people may have seen it. Many of you people may not have. But I will definitely watch it when it's on the ICW on-demand service, because that's what I've got the on-demand service for. Saves me a job buying iPay-per-views and shit. So, be sure to check that out. Make sure you watch it. Hope you guys enjoyed it if you did see it. And look out for my review because I will watch it at some point. Also, I'm looking to incorporate Progress Wrestling. I'm thinking of just doing it as normal would. I don't know what I'm going to do in terms of Progress. Do I go on to their website and everything, and maybe they do the odd show here and there and everything, but I want to incorporate Progress Wrestling into this podcast as well. So be on the lookout for that. I'll update you in further episodes and whatnot. But I'm looking to incorporate Progress Wrestling to this podcast. Like I say, guys, this is the main show, Wrestling Matters podcast, each and every Monday. The other shows that I do are exclusive to the Wrestling Matters channel, which is youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. They're like extra shows and everything like that because, I want to keep this simple. I want to keep this a simple show because people tend to listen to it more, or download it for free as well, which you can do on SoundCloud. So be on the lookout for them podcast. Also, I'm still going to do the WCPW podcast. That has not changed. Big thank you to everybody who supported the Built to Destroy review podcast as well. Over 1,000 views on YouTube, 1,001 to be precise, as well, maybe more in counting. You guys are awesome, and trust me, subscribe to the Wrestling Matters YouTube channel because that's where you can see all the exclusive and all the other podcasts that you don't see on this podcast here, and all the promotions as well with WCPW, ICW, and the list goes on and on. You still get the Friday Night Fight Club on this podcast as well. That'll be back, like I say, very, very soon. So until then, guys, hope you guys have enjoyed this part. I'll be back with the main event right after this commercial timeout, which is the main event. It's going to be a few promotions here and there, and then it'll be the 10 worst world champions in WWE history. And I'm not talking WWE world champions. Actually, I think I am in general, to be honest with you. I don't know. It depends how you see it, quite frankly. But 10 worst WWE world champions in WWE history, according to What Culture Wrestling, and that will be up right after this time out. Stay with us. Be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel at www.youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters for my exclusive review series that I'm doing on WCPW, What Culture Pro Wrestling, brought to you by the good folks at whatculture.com. Each and every week, I'll be reviewing their shows, whether it's loaded or their big upcoming shows as well, each and every week on their YouTube channel. Be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel for review shows each and every week. You can also download them for free on SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shugs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Like I've said, guys, you can listen to the Wrestling Matters podcast on the Swerve Talk Network, Dazzy, Dangerously, and Co. with the Max Wrestling, Sunday Segue with Kenny, Offshoot Radio with James Belmont. Check out their new episode as well. And Evan McCabe as well, who also does Max Wrestling. Be sure to check them out each and every weekend. Also, Mystery Island, check them out. 4th of August, which is this Thursday, in fact. Monster on the Island, Abyss. Get yourself over there. 56 to 58 Oxton Road in Birkenhead, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to check it all out. Facebook.com/Back to the Island for more information. And Twitter and everything else in between. Also, check out WCPW's podcast this week. Like I said, you probably heard the commercial audio that I did. Also, check out their YouTube channel as well. And not just the YouTube channel for the What Culture, also check out the YouTube channel for WCPW, because they've got their own YouTube channel, rather, despite the fact that they still stream the What Culture stuff, the show, on the What Culture Wrestling. That was a mouthful to say. Also, check out their new episode, which I'm guessing is out tonight. So be sure to check it out, 10 o'clock UK time. Right, guys, with that being said, it is now time for the main event of this podcast. 10 worst world champions in WWE history. And what a joy this was. Number 10 was The Big Show. 4-time world champion, well, in WWE anyway. He was I believe he was a 2-time WWE champion and a 2-time world champion. WWE champion, the first one was because of what happened with Stone Cold in 1999, and he got thrown into a triple threat match, which he ended up winning, only to use it to Triple H on Raw towards, well, basically which started the McMahon-Helmsley regime. His second WWE title run was when he beat Brock Lesnar thanks to Paul Heyman in Madison Square Garden at the Survivor Series in 2002. The World Championship was after he beat Mark Henry in what was probably the weirdest chair match I've ever seen. And then lost it to Daniel Bryan because Daniel Bryan ended up cashing it in. And then he won the world title after a title defense with Sheamus, which saw a big, large chair gimmick for Big Show and everything. Anyway, that's Big Show, number 10. Number 9 is Dolph Ziggler. Now, I don't know why he's in this, because it was basically unlucky with Dolph, in my opinion, because he won the world title, he cashed it in, he won Money in the Bank, then cashed in to get the world title off Alberto Del Rio, loses it when he comes back from injury. Yeah, he had a concussion, which basically, ruined the title run, quite frankly. And he was never the same again after that. Up until this year, though, because at SummerSlam, he faces Dean Ambrose for the WWE World Championship. Will he get his reign? I hope so, but I'd like to see Dean Ambrose title reign a little bit more, if you will. Number 8 is Rob Van Dam. Now, this guy had everything. He was the WWE Champion. He also was the ECW champion, the first person to ever hold them two belts simultaneously. He won the WWE title after beating John Cena at One Night Stand in now the most infamous We All Hate Cena crowd. He had everything. He had both belts. But one stupid mistake, which was caught on for YouTube, where he got pulled over with Sabu and had weed and every other drug you could possibly think of in the back of a car, cost him it. Because he lost the WWE title to Edge in a triple threat match on Raw, which involved him, John Cena, and Edge. And then it ended up losing the ECW title in the infamous Philadelphia Screwjob on ECW, thanks to Paul Heyman robbing him. Number 7, and then gets suspended for 30 days as well. Don't forget to mention that. Number 7 was Big D. Big Daddy Cool Diesel Kevin Nash, who won the WWE Championship, WWF title, off Bob Backlund in Madison Square Garden at a house show in 8 seconds. Was a champion for nearly a year. The reason why people are voting this guy as the WWE Champion, as a worst world champion, is because he wasn't the biggest draw out of that. He did have some good matches with Bret Hart and that, but it was the drawing power, I would imagine, from what I got. He wasn't the best draw. I don't think really people cared about him as champion back then, which was a shame, but, you know, it was what it was. Number 6, I believe this is number 6, is Chavo Guerrero. Now, despite the fact being nephew to the late great legend himself and probably one of the finest wrestlers to ever step foot in the professional wrestling ring, Eddie Guerrero, there was no way he was going to get a title shot. Many people probably think you should have got it instead of Rey Mysterio. It would have made more sense, but it didn't work. I'll get to Rey in a second. The only world title he ended up having in WWE anyway was the ECW title, and by the time he got his hands on it, whatever prestige that belt had went flushed right down the toilet. He had good matches with CM Punk, and then he lost the ECW title to Kane in record time, I would imagine, at WrestleMania, and was never the same again after that. Rey Mysterio, 3 WWE Championship runs, 2 world titles, 1 WWE. He won the world title the first time around at WrestleMania 22 in a triple threat match after winning the Royal Rumble. Many people believe that he got that belt only because of Eddie's death. And if Eddie hadn't died, he would never have been world champion. After that, he was booked awful, in my opinion. He was booked god-awful. He won the World Championship for a second time after winning a Fatal 4-Way match at the Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view, only to lose it to Kane, however, after retaining it at Money in the Bank. Then Kane cashed it in at Money in the Bank, and Kane beat him to end that reign. And the WWE Championship, he won in a one-night tournament after CM Punk shenanigans when he walked out with the belt. He won the WWE Championship after beating Miz in a tournament, only to lose it on the exact same night to the face that runs the place, John Cena, setting up a match between CM Punk, John Cena, at SummerSlam, WWE Champion versus WWE Champion. Go figure. Next one after that was Ezekiel Jackson. Now, he didn't really did much in WWE, to be honest with you. He was a member of the Core, and he broke away from that and became Intercontinental Champion. That didn't last particularly long, to my knowledge, but he wasn't very good for what it was, and he became the ECW Champion. He was the last ECW World Heavyweight Champion, and let's just say by the time he became ECW Champion, after that it ended. The ECW title ended. So I don't know about this one, to be honest with you, but that's just where it was. And like I say, he won the ECW title after beating Christian, and the company was, and that brand at least, was pretty much dead and buried. As was the ECW title held by such names as Taz, Terry Funk, Sadman, Sabu, Rob Van Dam, and the list goes on and on. Even Shea Douglas as well. Next one after that was Vince McMahon. One of the reasons why the ECW Championship died a slow, painful death, because this guy was a WWE World Champion, WWE Champion rather, WWF Champion, whatever the fuck you want to call that belt. But he also became ECW Champion. He won the WWE Championship after Triple H goat him into a match on Smackdown in 1999 and said he defended it, and the only reason he won the WWE Championship in the first place was because of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold coming out, stuttering China and Triple H, allowing Vince to get the pin. I believe he won the ECW Championship. I think he beat Bobby Lashley for it, but it was with a little help from Shane McMahon and Umaga at the time. However, Bobby Lashley did get the belt back, and him winning the ECW Championship the way he did was probably one of many reasons why the ECW title fell and died a slow, painful death. Next one after him was Jack Swagger. Now, not many people believed what happened. He was the former ECW Champion, losing that belt eventually to Christian. He won Money in the Bank and became WWE World Champion, only to lose it to Rey Mysterio in a Fatal 4-Way match. Nobody got this guy as World Champion. That's why Michael Cole at one time took the piss out of him, because nobody really understood him as a World Champion. Nobody really got him as a World Champion, quite frankly. So that's why he's probably considered as the second worst champion in WWE history. And for anybody out there who is smart and is WWE and watches WWE and remembers all this stuff, I think you will all know, or you all should know, who is number one. Number one worst WWE champion in history, or WWE World Champion in WWE's history, was the Great Khali. That's right. This guy wins in a battle royal after Edge forfeited the belt due to injury. Has matches with Batista, has a big feud with Batista, wanting the belt back, and eventually ends up getting it back. And even at one point, it was him, Great Khali, Batista and Great Khali, as well as Rey Mysterio, in a main event at Newcastle on my birthday that I got from my brother, it was on a Smackdown show in Newcastle, and it was probably the worst main event I've ever seen. Not considering the fact of what happened. Batista did his thing that night, there's no doubt about that. But let's face it, all Great Khali did that night was fight Batista, because Rey Mysterio, all he did that night was get bounced around by Great Khali. Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, he lost the belt in a triple threat match to Batista in the first place, which probably ended one of the worst reigns in WWE's history as a WWE World Champion. I don't know why he became World Champion. I don't know who came up with that idea, but at the end of the day, the idea was not very good. Let's just say that. And that about wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. The worst World Champion in WWE's history goes to Great Khali. And I'm sure you all agree with that. Big thank you to everybody for listening to this podcast, guys. It is greatly appreciated. Show your support. YouTube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. SoundCloud.com/Wrestling_Matters_podcast. My name is Anthony Walker. Wrestling Matters, only on the Wrestling Matters podcast and the Wrestling Matters YouTube channel. It has been a pleasure. Episode 112 is done. Until next week for episode 123. See you next time, guys. Peace out.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change! Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! Yes! 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 That's 13-14!
Cena, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.